All right, ladies and gentlemen, got your watch list coming in at July 18th, 2019, and it is going to be exciting tomorrow. We had the Netflix earnings, and we need to talk about this really weird reason why the stock market went down today. So I'm going to share that with you guys, as well as cover the keys for tomorrow, the notable earnings, and the strategy for some of these other plays that are both linked to the companies reporting and the companies that have not reported. So this stuff is going to be very important. Tomorrow is going to be very active, so make sure you guys are live, because we are live Monday through Friday, 30 minutes before open. It is pinned in the comments, and it is the first link in the description. So we're going to get to that, but you guys know what you need to do. We are here to source information. So at the end of this, before, whatever it may be, make sure you post your watch list below, and then drop a thumbs up too, so that YouTube recommends you the videos that you want to see from us, because a lot of people have asked about option pricing and so on and so forth. I will show you guys that as it relates to earnings, but I really encourage you to check out that video. You can either search through the channel, the Trading Fraternity Options and Earnings, and it should come up. So let us get into this, because this was an important factor or question a lot of people have, is why did the market start dropping? And if you guys even saw, Apple started selling off, and it wasn't as if it was after Netflix, and Netflix was a big deal. We did even stream the earnings or the conference call, and we'll talk about that, but you even saw stocks like Apple, Microsoft over here. They began to drop out of nowhere, and really everything started to go down, and the question is why? So I want to make sure you guys see the volume and everything, but the answer is simple. It was because the trade war escalation, as we've discussed. So there was reports from the White House over more issues with the trade war, and Huawei being the central focus, that the U.S. can't agree. They've said there's no future meetings for any trade discussions between the U.S. and China, and as the market started to digest that, that was not good. On top of that, there was more de-escalation with Iran, and this is that really weird reason that I'm going to say for you guys, because, and again, I'm going to share this reason with you, and then how to tell when there is actually news to react to. But this one was weird because now oil started to come down, and people were asking what's going on with UGAS, DGAS, natural gas, every gas you could think of, and it has to do with this. If the Iran situation gets de-escalated and it's not as worse as it was a few weeks ago, that was a primary driver of oil. Even I think Iran said they could close the Strait of Hormuz, and you know, they said they don't want to, or they're not going to. If that situation de-escalates, we talked about why it would make oil go up. So now if that goes away, this could bring oil down. But now in context to the bank's earnings and banks getting released, it was financials and energy, and the relationship between energy stocks and financials that was causing these, you know, kind of really boosting the market up. So how this plays out can have an effect, so watch that. But really this had to do with more trade war escalation, which could really set us up to get that rate cut now. But it is something we've been looking forward to see how this is, but get ready for more and more info. But again, it's going to be very difficult to see how this is going to play, because again, there was the Netflix and IBM, and those are big companies. Netflix dropped, IBM went up and then came down, and that one will probably have a bigger effect on the broader markets and the Dow. However, with both of those companies now, and even just big earnings making big moves, and then you mix it in with this now news, we don't know which is going to be, you know, the leading factor on the market. That's why I said it's going to pretty much be the cat dog of deciding what's going to happen or what's causing the move. So that's why I'm saying, factoring all of this together, it's going to be difficult to see how earnings in a trade war escalation is going to play out. But the key is, as long as tensions increase and things get worse, and it's either felt by either the market, most likely will be, then that is what's going to confirm the rate hike, which is going to have a big deal on the market. But then too, you guys understand how important oil is, so this is spotting the factors of when something disappears, what's going to happen. So watch that, and really how to predict or understand when something is really meaningful or not. It is a zero-sum game. So what I mean by that is, if you guys know what a zero-sum game means, is that if somebody loses, somebody benefits, somebody loses, and that's what should happen. You know, tomorrow, even with Netflix going down, if Netflix goes down, somebody should benefit off of that. You know, again, and they even talked about competition in their earnings, and we will talk about Netflix when I get there. But the point is, that is a normal, this is the whole rotation elements that we've been seeing and that we've been able to really profit off of. So the issue is going to be now when you start to see one thing losing, but then this thing that should have benefited also loses, and then everything starts losing or everything gains. If it does you don't see rotation and you're not seeing a winner and loser that's clear cut and everything starts to kind of pull in one direction, that begins to give you some more confirmation or that something's wrong and it's going to create a temporary volatility moment either to the up or downside. And hopefully you guys seen there's opportunities on the upside for that as well too. So that is your key to understand all of these plays tomorrow, and don't get pump faked and be ready to prepare for earnings, because as part of the strategies we've talked about, some of these earnings plays you got to factor in. Is it going to continue, right after the earnings, or is it going to continue through the next week, or is it going to level out and stay there? And don't get caught paying too much of an IV or too much of a premium following some of these plays. So keep that in mind, but let us discuss the notable earnings for tomorrow. In the morning is going to be UNH, and I think that one's going to be a big one. A lot of people have talked about that. Watch for Cigna. We're already in that, and I'm going to keep my eyes out for that. Philip Morris, and I think these could have bigger, broader effects on the market. That'll be a good one. And then UNP, United Pacific, another transport, and then TSM. And I think this will be the biggest one because their outlook, this is Taiwan Semiconductors. The outlook they give can be very, very important as we start to look into, hey, how is the chip makers and stuff like that? Because they actually kind of saved the market last earnings when they came out with pretty solid guidance for where the chips were expected to go here for that second quarter. But now again, the notable earnings, or even just a notable fact, is that these earnings in this quarter have been weak, and we've discussed that. So how we see guidance and moving forward from here is going to be very important. So there's that. And then after hours, we're going to get Microsoft, it's like Intuitive Surgical Designs or something like that, ISRG Medical Devices, Skyworks Chip Makers, and then Skechers. And now these aren't all of them, but these again are the notable ones that I'm into and the ones that I like. So let me know what you guys like. Post your watch list below and keep an eye out for these, and let's get into the plays. Right off the bat, I do want to look at Apple. There's two. There's Apple and Microsoft. I made quick weekly plays on this. I grabbed a weekly right here, this July 130 on Microsoft for 41 cents, and it was kind of expensive for a weekly. What made me really inclined to buy that was simply the fact that this was a bigger move here. And again, this could have been a move based on being, coming at the close and how the market reacts in that sense. However, this was a big dollar movement. The volume was even crazy, and that happened on a lot of the stocks. The volume was high, but overall too, the volume again was still low overall in the market. So be careful for that. But watch Microsoft. I did get an Apple next week, I believe. I grabbed the 190, so a little further out, but again, that one even, I believe, covered the earnings on them. So putting this all into perspective, this one's covering earnings, that one, but I was just watching the effect and how they had. But again, how these semiconductors and that demand mixed with any escalation from the trade war, that is going to give us a lot of info tomorrow. So keep your eyes out for that. Next one, I'm going to go to Cigna. We're still in this play, and that contract has came down. It was all over the place. Now it's down about 50% here. So if we do get gas, it will be good. But now be careful on these plays, because today was Wednesday. Coming into Thursday on any of these weeklies now, watch the price. Shout out to Sergio, baby. He asked me from the watch list yesterday, why was that Facebook expensive that we bought on Friday if it's the same price today? It's the same concept here with some of these weeklies. If we find a price like Cigna now, let's say that is somehow 20 cents or even 50 cents tomorrow for the same contract we bought, even if I spent that much, if there's only 1 day of time left and it's the same price as when we bought it with 5 days of time left, the one with 1 day of time left is way more expensive. So again, when we start seeing how things play out tomorrow, and this is what I'm curious for with a lot of these plays, we need to watch how they move, and then now it's scaling up instead of average. If we do choose to average down, again, keyword is if we choose to. You don't have to average down. That's why we need underlying movements to happen. If the market gets cucked because of a cat dog between Netflix and IBM, and then this trade war, and there's no real direction or velocity or volume, these weekly plays are going to get crushed. So again, though, even like today, you're seeing how things are moving out of nowhere. Some of those plays we had, they're going to do good, but now with a little bit of time left, the calls are just going to depreciate and the puts won't even go up as much. So be careful if you are going to average down, though. If you choose to, get closer to the money now with less time available. So watch out for that, though. I'm going to watch Cigna in relation to UNH and how that plays out. I am going to watch IBM. We got that lotto play today. We grabbed a 128 for 10 cents, and I said, simply if it does surprise, there was only pricing in a $2 move on the earnings on the option chain. saying. That's what we said in the beginning, and would you look at that, it's down $2.30 is where it finished at, but it surprised to the upside and was up $6 at one point. So we made a play kind of saying, okay, it's expected to move 2% downwards, or about 1.5%. We got a lotto for like, I think about 10% down at the 128. So we'll see how that plays out. That play's most likely going to lose. However, if IBM continues, this could be a good play to watch. And that's why I'm saying we have to watch the cat dog effect here. But pretty much when IBM has had some of these moves, it's done that with some of these big candles. It'll drop. This was an earnings or a warning on guidance. Then this was the actual earnings. It dropped, and then it was all over the place. So again, some of it could come up through the gap ups and downs. So be careful of that. But in general, keep your eyes out for it. I really like it and how this plays out. Like I said, it's either going to make a big move right off the open and then continue throughout the whole day, or it's going to make one move and then cuck, and that's it for the rest. So keep your eyes out for IBM. Next is going to be UNH, as we discussed. Here's also United Rentals. They reported today. They dropped again. It's in transports. It's down 10%. This is a huge drop, and we saw what the transports did. You could even look at what CSX also did today, which is another important thing to look at right here. And again, this kind of continued, but a similar thing, but this isn't going to be good for transports. And like I said, this was part of one of the reason why today we saw that big drop, is just transports really got crushed. And again, we thought the divergence wasn't there, but if that leads into it and the transports really start to sell off and the market holds up, it could get ugly there. So I'm going to keep my eyes out for that. And lastly, I had Facebook, but I think I also had it here on this chart for you guys. So we'll talk about that and bring that one up, but keep it there. But next one I'm going to have up here is Qualcomm. This is just related to the overall chip makers, but what I want you to watch with Qualcomm is the semiconductors. And again, I think Qualcomm, it could sell off. You guys saw good news today. It sold off. It might very well just bounce up, believe it or not. And why I say that, because you'll have stocks like NVIDIA that went up today, even despite, the market kind of going down there. NVIDIA still actually went up and held. So that's actually a really good sign. So watch that. The next play I'm going to keep an eye out is for Beyond. And again, they went down today after doing good. And this is where I'm saying watch for the cat dog, or watch if there is any rotation or not. But if they don't rotate, something's wrong. But try to find the rotational elements. The fact that Beyond's still at 170, I like it. Keep your eyes out on that. Next one is Shopify. We went up those contracts we bought for 80 cents. They hit $5 today. I think they closed here around $2.25, so still not bad, but definitely 50% lower than where we could have had it. The best part is we have those for next week, but Shopify started giving up earlier in the day. It didn't really react too much. However, there might be some effect from Netflix. We'll see the spillover and how investors view this, or even then, the fact that Netflix is kind of not growing as much. You could see Shopify get a run up as people, think about it. Netflix, it's not showing investors the signs of growth that they're looking for. They may want to look for a growth stock, and Shopify still has a lot of upside when it comes to adding users and paid clients. Keep your eyes out for that one. Watch out for Roku now too, because this is going to be a sympathy. Even, if there's less people on Netflix, Roku is a streaming platform device thing for everything. There's going to be less people on Roku, or even then, this is a catch-22, because again, Roku could also benefit from the streaming war and also suffer from any of the streamers not doing good. So watch out for that. It's already at these all-time highs, and we'll see. And I think the puts are actually pretty cheap, even despite this move it had all day. Then watch out for Square, because Square had a big drop. But what I'm going to relate this to, you could watch the other banks, and I think we should watch financials as well also. But eBay did good. So watch how Square and any of these other companies related to it, they could move, or anybody in that space, even PayPal, they could benefit off of that as well. So keep all those in mind. And that was another earning. I already told you guys about Microsoft. Next is Boeing. So I want Boeing a lot. I've been eyeing it, and I have these contracts I want. I'm going to tell you guys right now. That's why you're supposed to tune into the watch list. I was going for the same play we made last week, where it was about $5 to $7 for 25 cents. And I wanted these. Honestly, I had the 375s here at around 17, 18 cents, and then they went up to 24, and I said no. And at the time, it was right here when it consolidated. If you guys remember, I was talking about it all day on stream with these, but the stock was at 366. I was like, all right, it's about like $9 away. So I was like, all right, it's in that range. It was a little too high, but then it started going, and in fact, it was still at 25 cents when it was only now about, it was like $7 here instead of $9. It stayed the same, but then it just started, again, you could see the frog, and I was waiting for the frog, and I figured if it came down more, but then the frog closed up there. And again, if you don't know what the frog is, I encourage you to just literally YouTube, the trading fraternity frog. But there's that. But watch out for the 375. If we could get this at 20 cents, that'd be good. But I was also watching the 377 just in case. And again, this is the same thing. It's about now. You're at 368. It's about $9 for 20 cents. So I could have got it cheaper, and I've watched them go up. But the point is, I'm trying to play this to get in the money. And really what my logic behind Boeing is, I think Boeing is going to go up and rip into earnings, and I think earnings will be bad, and I think it's going to come down. So I'm looking to play shorter term calls, try to make money on the upside, and I still have a bunch of graveyard puts and decent puts that have lost like 30-40% of their value but are still in play because they have time. So watch these, but I'm going to be trying to identify these three, or get these 375s at like 20 cents, or pretty much if I could get the most ideal, if I could get a $5 move. So anything that's saying, hey, you're $5 from hitting that strike and it costs less than a quarter, I'm going to take that, or that's what I'm going to be looking for, unless that happens right at open. And then that means, again, because if there's other strikes changing, then we're going to have to readjust and find it. But that's the pricing I'm looking for to be able to say, hey, this is cheap. There's a play there. And it might run from us. So again, we'll see. But it does look like it's maintaining this whole trip about $7 to $10 for a quarter. So I think that's just too far out there. But if we give it enough time and you push that to the wall, that'll come down there. So I like Boeing. Keep your eyes out for that. Next is Netflix. We'll talk about that. I think we already talked about IBM. I'd watch Facebook now again, and this is going to be an important one because we've already seen, we had that put. I think this one, it might make another move here towards the end of the week, or it could push everything until next week. A lot of those calls got cheaper, so we have to start identifying if we want to continue or let this go. I think it will make a pop here into earnings at some level, and again, some of this Libra stuff has been affecting it, so we're in that both ways. I'm pretty much cool. Again, yeah, we might lose all the profit. We've already lost pretty much most of it. We put money on the puts. Those didn't go up at all. Those are actually down now, but coming after this move and how tomorrow plays out, we'll see. And this is kind of showing why I'm aiming small, and my whole point of holding them, I gave up some money, but at the fact anything that's going up or down, I'm still kind of kept in for this opportunity cost. So we'll see what happens though. So keep that in mind. And lastly, Home Depot. So this one's good because the market started dropping and it did what I wanted to. Again, a lot of you guys were surprised, but remember I told you I want these at 30 cents, 30 or 20 cents. And you see what happens here today. They were at $2.70. They're now at $1.42. That's a pretty big 42% decline. If we get another 40% decline, they'll be there at 70 cents. But then again, it will be a Thursday, so we'll see. But if that's the case and the value stocks start to get gas, I'm going to start aiming towards those. And that is what we need to see too, is tomorrow, do we get a rotational or a shift with the value stocks coming off of any bad news? And lastly, we have Netflix. So we're going to talk about this in the morning. The main thing I want you guys to look for, it has to do with any of those earning plays as we've discussed with IBM. Is it going to continue, or is it going to have a temporary bounce and move and then push everything until Friday or even Monday of next week? That could happen. You never know. Usually we're able to tell in that first 5-10 minutes. So that's what I'm saying. Be there in the morning. We make our play. And again, if we do get too jumpy, we'll lose money. If not, we'll have to see how that develops. But if it does develop, it could be a good one. Watch out for that. The key with Netflix is going to be where it opens tomorrow. And does it open at the pre-market or the post-market low, or does it open near the close? That's going to be very, very instrumental for how the stock opens and the price that it gets quoted at opening, as far as causing panic or worrisome. So I'm going to look at that aspect of it. But then the next part is going to be analyst upgrades, and analyst upgrades are downgrades. As you know, people are digesting this. We digested it. We went over it. As that news starts to come out, you're going to see other people come out with their opinions. And then as they get upgrades and downgrades, that will either be a catalyst or confirmation to move any moves that occur during the market or post market. So watch out for that. I'm surprised some of those weeklies are going to hit. I don't think a lot of people are like, oh, you're going to make a lot of money. I'm not going to make a lot of money because I was so far out of the money on some of them, and then the other ones are spreads and butterflies. So you guys will get to see and learn from it, and this will be a good learning lesson all across the board. So there is that, my friends. Let me know what you played. If you did play for Netflix, yes, I'm glad for you, but post the strike price and the play and not just the profits. That's what we want, sourced information, but post your watch list below. I'll see you on stream in the morning. Let's go!